So don't take that.
We won't take them.
All right, welcome to a special bonus episode of Pods
In
The key.
Of Springfield.
Springfield.
Yeah.
Did you notice two other voices there, James?
No.
Fuck. Did I notice two other voices responding to me who weren't James?
You always hear voices.
I'm hearing double here. More people.
Perfect. Today we're doing a special little crossover episode. We have got from the Simpsons Index, we have Elliot J. O'Neill.
hello.
And we have, who's always here except for when he's not, BT Calloway.
Always here.
And what is the Simpsons Index? Is that another TV show about the Simpsons?
That is an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast.
Okay.
And
it's like an
this-
Excel file?
And this is a podcast.
This is a podcast.
Not a spreadsheet.
Boy, howdy, are we prepared to podcast.
Did you notice in the episodes of The Simpsons we watched today that Springfield didn't actually feature at all?
Yeah, it's because today we're not talking about two episodes of The Simpsons. We're talking about two episodes of, wish I could remember the name, Disenchantment or Disenchanted?
Disenchanted, isn't
Meant.
it?
Disenchantment.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah.
That seems like a thing we definitely should have nailed down. The very basics of what we've just watched.
Dude, I only
Disenchantment.
realized like the central three characters' names in the second episode.
Sweet. I only realised the central main characters in the central three episodes. What does mine say?
Dude, so we watched the first two episodes of What If Futurama But Past.
Yeah.
Pastorama.
Pastorama.
Not to be confused with Pastorama.
Yes.
From,
Nor to be
The
confused.
best restaurant ever.
yeah.
Not to be confused with Pastafarian.
Yeah.
A religion which I think today a Dutch court said is no longer officially recognised as a religion in
In
Dutch.
Dutch.
Have you got a
Dutch
Google alert for Pastafarianism just in case?
I may have done. I'm just seeking to be touched by his noodly appendage, all right?
Oh, didn't want to hear that. I think the podcast is over.
All right, thanks everyone. In Springfield. Oh, false ending with four people. Love it.
Yeah.
Would you like a falsetto ending?
Oh.
In Springfield. Tremendous.
So, Disenchantment.
Yes, over to you, sir.
Okay, so we've watched the first two episodes and gonna go on a limb. Thought it was pretty good. I liked it.
Actually, I had to say I enjoyed it more than I was expecting to. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean,
Because your
know
default
how-
position is to hate content and
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
yeah.
To be fair, it's a safe position.
Yeah, the
Like,
fact
if you're wrong, great. If you're right, hey, look, I was wrong.
the fact
Fuck
that
up.
you are here watching this stuff with us, real testament to
Really remarkable. I mean, it's, yeah. If you had tricked me into watching a movie, I would have been very upset. But here we are watching Disenchantment.
Disenchantment.
And I enjoyed it. Disenchantmentos, the fresh makers.
Disinfectant.
Disinfectant. Cool. Yeah. So I mean, I guess anyone that listens to this probably knows what Disenchantment is.
Yeah, it's the new Netflix show. Matt Groening's the showrunner. It's about a woman and like her pointy little dog and an elf.
Sure.
And
It's
they
a
go on
cat.
adventures.
Pointy little cat dog.
Yep.
It's a sequel to Cat Dog.
Yeah.
It's not. My first thought that I'm going to say, because I am the only one that didn't have a notebook and the only one that wasn't taking notes.
Yeah, because you didn't bring the fucking notebooks to the
Yeah,
recording.
I know. So prior to this recording, James asked me to bring two things: DVDs and notebooks. I didn't bring either of them.
You threw them out the window on the way here.
I did.
Laughing the whole way.
I wanted to be rid of them.
Just throw them away.
That's the Maverick lifestyle, man.
Well, I was driving my friend's Maverick, so that's a four-wheel drive. Not an Odyssey. But my first thought on Disenchantment is, did they really have to make Elfo's character design so incredibly Bart-like?
Little buddy
yeah.
Couldn't they
boy.
have chosen any other color scheme for his fucking shirt and
I
shorts?
know, right?
Little
the
buddy
fuck?
boy elf. He's like Bart if he was a Smurf that fucks.
What if Bart but Smurf fucker?
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
I enjoyed his character actually. Like, coming from an optimistic world where nothing negative ever happens and wanting to be pessimistic, but just intrinsically so optimistic.
Are you talking about your trip from Sydney to Adelaide?
Hey, Sydney is not a kingdom of optimism.
No. It's the city that's actively trying to kick you out.
Yeah, the
No,
city
that's fair.
slogan, as we've discussed, is just "fuck you."
Yeah.
Like,
we've discussed this.
Yeah.
So look,
Yeah.
the entire time we were watching these episodes, obviously, you know, I'm always in a sort of hunting mode. I was on the lookout for hints of Colossus, and I was looking for hints of Norman. So the whole episode, I'm looking out for. And look, I don't think there's much in these episodes around that, but I do think it is a possibility that Colossus comes from the world of Disenchantment.
Oh, that's interesting.
That maybe he has escaped from this
Yep.
magical kingdom and is now spreading his malevolent energy across Springfield.
There were a few characters with skin tones similar to that of Colossus.
Very much so. And I think that maybe Norman, who
Toothpaste
has...
shades, as I like to call them.
Yeah, toothpastey terrorist. And I feel like Norman, who has more or less disappeared from The Simpsons, maybe he has ventured into this land at some point, much like that priest character in the Dark Tower series.
Dark Tower, is that Lord of the Rings?
Sure, why not? Let's go with that.
Right. Right. Twin Towers?
No, what are you doing?
I'm trying to figure out what the reference is.
Stephen King's Lord of the Rings.
Stephen King's The Dark Tower.
Stephen King's
Where that
Lord of the
character
Rings.
from Salem's Lot ends up in the... You've read The Dark Tower, haven't you?
Oh, J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, exactly.
Stephen J.R.R. Tolkien. I love it.
Yeah, he wrote that story, The Two Dark Towers. And,
Yep.
Oh, sorry. If we're going to talk about
we
that,
are a quartet, by the way, if that isn't clear.
if we're
Has
gonna-
anyone else read these books?
No.
I just know
Fuck,
about them.
okay.
if we're going to talk about that, we need to go to my other podcast, What You Tolkien About.
You Tolkien, you two to me.
Yeah, quite good though. Like, I was surprised.
Yeah, has anyone got any particular thoughts? Hey, I'm
Has
going
anyone got any particular
Fuck you.
thoughts?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do this
I
anymore.
took so many notes.
Okay, well, do you want to tell us about your notes? As as a very wise man once said, were there any moments for better or for worse in the story that stood out to you?
He's not wise.
Okay, I think Matt Groening shows have largely bad fight scenes in the last 15 or so years. Since Futurama, I feel like fight scenes in these things are consistently bad.
Like the one where Peter Griffin fights the chicken for like half an hour.
Yeah, that's one of the classic Matt Groening.
Yeah, one of the classic Mac Groening sketches.
Yeah, right.
No,
Seth MacFarlane, if you are listening, we would love to have you on. Mostly to talk about American Dad, by far the best of your three sitcoms.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Totally.
Elliot, have you gone beer, wine, and then back to beer?
Of course.
And back to a black beer? Is that a black beer?
He lives dangerously. No, sorry.
Just a
Oh,
Asahi.
Asahi. Sorry. Yeah, okay, cool.
Asahi, if you are listening, we are looking for sponsorship.
I believe your name translates as Morning Sun, I think.
That's delightful.
Or
Yeah,
day.
morning sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morning
Yeah.
Sun. You say as you scull your fourth beer of the evening.
Of the morning.
So there's a bar fight scene early in this episode that I didn't like, and I thought, well, this is going to be a bad show. I'm not going to like
yeah,
this.
Yeah.
It was weirdly silent. Like, none of the characters were saying anything to each other as they kind of foible around and not hit each other.
That was my overall impression of the first episode, that the pilot lacked atmosphere, I thought.
Yeah, and it just lacked little passing comments. Like, there's a bit in the second episode where they're shimmying up this elevator, and she just goes, "You could help, you know," instead of like "You could help, you know." Jeez, like there's no
Yeah.
character person.
Sure,
Like
sure.
it's just the line straight and nothing around it. Obviously, they're getting used to their characters or whatever, but it just stood out as kind of quiet.
Well, I thought it was interesting that the show is set within King's Landing, the area
Yeah.
from Game of Thrones.
Pretty much.
Oh. I haven't seen it yet.
Has anyone seen any of the things that I'm into alone in all of this?
No, I haven't. I just think it's disastrous when pilots don't have atmosphere, because then they won't be able to breathe and they'll pass out and the plane will crash. That got much more than it deserved. All right, well, I'm done. I'm going to swing my microphone away.
There was just so many leaps in the pun work there.
I know, it's beautiful.
So many leaps. Speaking of things that happened early in the first episode that kind of gave a weird idea of what the show was going to be, because I agree the first bar fight wasn't very good, and then kind of the first time that we meet the king guy,
Played by John DiMaggio, who I'm a little sick of, frankly. Too
where
much
have
energy
you
for my...
gone, John DiMaggio? The nation turns its lonely eyes to you.
Woo.
What the fuck is that?
Mrs. Robinson or
Yeah.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, okay.
But it's Joe DiMaggio.
You played it back on me. I don't get it. You don't get my references. I don't get
Right.
yours. This is why why we're such a good
that's why we
podcast.
get along so
Joy.
well.
You're always learning something new.
Oh, jumping John DiMaggio.
Yeah, jump it. And my favourite part about that is, so in Mrs. Robinson, there's the line, "Where did you go, Joe DiMaggio? Our
Yep.
nation turns its lonely eyes to you, woo, woo, woo." And apparently when the song came out...
And to you, Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently when that song came out, Joe DiMaggio did like a public statement saying, like, "What do you mean? Like, I've always been here. Like, I haven't gone anywhere."
Because he was kind of like a humorless guy, which is a little weird.
Yeah,
like you
totally.
see clips of him standing, like, marrying Marilyn Monroe. He's like, today is a day.
Did he marry Marilyn
Yeah.
Monroe?
And, like, look
What a-
completely unthrilled about it.
What a pleasingly alliterative sentence.
Married Marilyn Monroe, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Blah, blah, blah. What was I going to say? Yeah, no. Speaking of things that gave an entirely not quite fully representative idea of what the show turned out to be, the first time we meet the king, his daughter, the main character,
Bean.
just takes off half her clothes and walks out of the building. And I'm like, so is this going to be a show where everyone takes their clothes off all the time? And that didn't happen for the other for the balance of the first episode, and then didn't happen at all in the second.
Well, the little pointy dog has his dick out the whole time.
Yeah.
You can't see it,
We
but
did-
he clarifies that he's naked.
We did get
You're
that great exit line where it's like, nobody dare look at her. And then one guy who wasn't in the room
Yeah.
walks in, boy, did I look at her.
Yeah.
Which is just, I mean, if it wasn't such an objectively horrible thing to say, it'd be a great thing to just say all the time. We
Yeah.
like walk into a bar and go, boy, did I look at her.
Boy, did I walk into a bar.
Also, I noticed that you crossed off a note there, so I like
Yeah.
to imagine that you had, boy, did I look at
Oh,
her,
yeah.
and you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
cool,
man.
done that. Yeah.
100% I did.
Yeah, excellent, perfect. See, I tend to have a 2-note delay on crossing out my notes. I like that you're doing it in real time. It's good.
Otherwise, I get lost here.
I would
That's
like to talk about Bean's stepmom, who is some sort of fish lizard hybrid.
See, this is where I saw the Colossus connection.
Yeah. It was
Okay,
more of a
I
kid
wasn't thinking
connection.
about Colossus. I was thinking about famous conspiracy theorist David Icke.
Oh,
And his
the lizard
theorizing,
people.
yeah, the lizard people, the New
So
World
you-
Order.
so-
Now, is this set in a world where David Icke was onto something?
So,
That's what I wanna know.
You think B's mum is a hollow moon? It's another one of David Icke's theories.
Okay. What, the moon's hollow.
He thinks the moon's hollow.
All right.
Yeah.
Fun
He doesn't-
fact,
doesn't understand
I
gravity.
once went to a wedding where I didn't know anyone, and so I got bored, and like when they asked what I did in general chit-chat, I told them I was designing engineering equipment for mining on the moon.
Fuck.
And they laugh, but if you say it seriously enough and then start going through, yeah, the biggest problem is really the moon's powder is like not like regular dirt, it's more like talcum powder, so you got a real problem with clogging the instruments. Look, we don't know what's in there. We're pretty sure it's got a consistency of something like oil, but that couldn't be possible. So we just want to be ready by the time we go. And they're like, oh wow, really? Like, yes.
That's amazing.
And we know from Michael Bay that, the dark side of the moon is covered in Transformers, so there's a lot of issues.
Yeah, so that sweet Transformer blood, how can we mine it and use it for our own good?
So look, David Icke, if you are out there, we would love to have you on the podcast to talk about that.
I'm not extending my invitation to David Icke. I was once at a fancy lunch where I was talking to random people sitting next to me, and the guy next to me asked what I do, and I said I'm a lawyer because that's what I do.
Yep.
And so I got the standard kind of 20 minutes of questions you get when people find out you're a lawyer, and I just went through them, and I've got little prepared speeches to all of them now. And after the 20 minutes of him asking me questions, I went, "Oh, so what do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I design banisters for staircases." No follow-up questions from me. Couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm like even trying to fake a question for that. So how
Yeah.
does that fuck up?
Oh, is it easier to design it going up or going down? That's not a question. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So if I wanted to marry Poppins on a banister, what would be the best one for that?
It's my favourite proper verb I've ever heard.
To marry Poppins? Yeah.
Yeah, to Mary Poppins.
See, as a video game journalist, when people ask me what I do and I tell them, I don't get questions so much as thinly veiled insults. Just immediately.
Oh, I didn't know that was a job. Wow.
Oh, you just play video games all day.
Oh, see, I thought it was going to be more like...
Then they shit themselves. That's what that sounded.
Oh, that's grim. I thought it was going to be more thinly veiled insults like, "Oh, I bet you haven't played for a game in ages." And I'm like, is that a thinly veiled insult? Anyway, Disenchantment.
Yeah. You asked me to write down the note "Happy Little Elves?" ?
Yeah, so when we first go to
Elfland.
Elfland. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
well,
just
what
called
it-
Elfland.
I don't think it is. That's just what I'm
No, well,
calling it right now.
okay. And when we first see all the little elves and they're all doing stuff, they look an awful lot like the happy little
They
elves from
do.
the Simpsons universe.
Yeah.
Is that then possible that when we see in the early seasons of The Simpsons Maggie watching Happy Little Elves VHSs, is that in fact a documentary about this elfland?
I think it would be fair to say this is the medieval times that have over the years translated poorly and become a fictionalized version of reality.
So Happy Little Elves is to Elfland what Pride and Prejudice was to Victorian England.
Well, it's more like that play Mr. Burns that I think I've brought up on this podcast before.
Sure.
Where civilization collapses and then the predominant high art becomes people misremembering old episodes of The Simpsons.
High art.
High art.
High art.
Yeah, high art.
That's also what Paul says to Garfunkel whenever he comes into the studio. High art.
Did you bring the parsley, sage, rosemary? I've got time here. Now, why is it that in this show and every show like it, all the aristocracy are clearly American while all the servants have English accents?
Oh, that's an interesting note on something. I went to say classism, but that's not quite right.
Not quite, no.
Maybe it's
Nationalism?
racism.
I don't know.
Nationalism?
Could be nationalism.
It's a fascinating conversation starter.
Just fascinating. Yeah, I know.
I can contribute.
I know we like to think deeply about these episodes.
I think an American peasant just doesn't sound right. You've got to be all talking like this. Oh, no, I've got some lovely gruel I'm going to eat over here.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, hey, I'm starving here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, where's my pepperoni?
I feel like, so...
Hey, I live in filth. It doesn't quite work.
I'm just going to give a little insight to the listeners. So the way that we're doing this, we've got BT, James and I are all sitting on chairs. Elliot is behind a desk with like all the equipment set up in front of him.
And a printer.
And a printer. And I feel like...
Under heart plate.
I feel like we've been kind of like unconsciously cutting you out of comments so far because it's like you're the producer that's just sitting there to make sure that nothing goes wrong.
You're sitting there like Conan O'Brien, so I'm assuming you'll just interject with like questions about our new movie or something.
Yep. And dancing going out to the act break.
Yeah.
You're going to ask us like who our guys are.
See, I thought with that...
Not before I do an ad for stamps.com.
I thought with that hair you were sitting more like Paul Schaefer, but... That's...
If only that printer was a keyboard, then I could be.
If only that desk was a time desk.
Man, that's
Whether
like-
this hoodie were a time hoodie.
Why had someone pick that? Yeah.
Was that the first draft of If Only by Hanson? If only this
They had another
printer was
song?
a magic printer. Man, I had 4 Hanson albums
If
when I was growing up.
only bop, baby.
You possessed Hanson albums before the time when you could just download them?
Possessed. I did. I had 3 Car Garage.
You know the names.
Yeah, no, so...
He had them.
So
What do you expect?
hang on a second. Sorry, I had Middle of Nowhere. That was the one with Mbop on it. Then 3 Car Garage was their B-sides and their demos.
Yep.
I had I had Snowed In, which was their Christmas album, and then I had Live from Albertane, which was their live concert.
Speaking of being possessed,
Yeah.
can we talk about the little demon creature,
Very
the
good.
the pointy little dog that
Yeah.
features in these episodes?
Very
It was
good.
quite good.
Played
Kinda-
by my boy, Eric Andre, my good son, Eric Andre,
Eric
who
Andre the
absolutely fucks across these 2 episodes.
By the way, James's boy, Eric Andre, if you'd ever like to be on the podcast.
Yeah,
we'd love to
absolutely.
have you.
And
Hey.
Eric Andre, mind if I hit this ranch?
Ranch it up. Sup, Mello?
People get that. Don't worry, it's funny.
I mean, we're people and we didn't get that.
Yeah, well, fucking, that's your problem, not mine.
It is. It really is.
You hit that rant.
Anyway,
I thought you said
so
hit
he's-
that ranch. It was like,
Yeah, I
pretty,
did say
pretty
ranch.
easy to hit that ranch.
Yeah, there's a bit where he goes around drinking ranch sauce. Anyway, he's a good dog. And
Andre the
Nick,
dog.
Nick, can we do an episode on the Eric Andre show? Can we just watch a bunch of Eric Andre and do an episode about
I feel
that?
like I'm not going to like Eric on... I mean,
Oh, you will not. It is not your thing at all.
Bird up.
Wait until you watch the Eric Andre movie.
there's a movie.
It's got Hannibal Buress. We can talk about Hannibal Buress.
Okay. He was the one that outed Bill Cosby, right?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think he was one of the...
Well, it
people
was his bet that sort of brought it to a
His bit.
larger level of.
Yeah.
He sort of said, "We all know Bill Cosby did all this shit," and it was a whole thing. Eric Andre, though, very good. Yeah, I like the pointy dog.
Yep. There is a great bit, I think we all got to chuckle, where she kicks it and slaps into a wall and kind of spins down the wall like one of those old sticky toys when you were a kid.
Yeah, those sticky,
Visceral.
the sticky hand things.
Yeah.
That stretch out. And
Yeah, man, 20 tickets at Time Zone.
Oh, yeah.
Time Zone. Fuck.
Did you guys have that here? Sorry, is that
Yes,
a local
no,
one?
Yeah,
we-
we had Time
we
Zone,
did.
we had Intensity, we
Yeah.
had
Yeah,
all
we
the
had
arcades.
And then further out north, out in the northern suburbs of Adelaide, instead of Time Zone and Intensity, there's a place called Tunza Fun. TUNZAFUN. Tunza.
I shouldn't laugh at the name. The current arcade that we have in Sydney is called iPlay.
You have an arcade at
iPlay.
all, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right across the road from Holy Moly, the golfing bar.
Oh, I went to a Holy Moly the other night. I was very drunk. It was fun.
Yeah.
I was with a group of strangers, and should I say anything about that night? I'm just
I don't know,
thinking
the
of things.
story
Do you
you-
remember anything about that night?
The story
Yeah, it
you
was
told
great.
me-
I met a very rich woman and tried to convince her to be my patron.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like that didn't work out because you use very past tense phrases.
I
on
feel
that.
like I was close, honestly. I believe my exact words to her were, "I'm very poor and creative."
That is what every witch woman wants.
I just
Hey,
need
baby.
somebody, like, I'm not looking for anything, just like funding for my lifestyle.
Yeah, you're looking for a sugar mama. That's all good.
Just fun.
Well, she described herself as a sugar mama because her
what does she want?
well,
then?
her boyfriend was there, and like I was, we were friends. No, it wasn't anything like that. I just wanted somebody to fund my life.
He just wanted tons of funding.
So look, what I'm saying is, if anyone out there is looking for somebody to patron, I got a lot of ideas. I got very little money or time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that feeling.
Sam, Diana, our only two listeners.
The other two are here in the room with us right now.
Oh, I don't think BT listens.
Oh, listen, I got the last couple.
Oh, thanks, Matt.
I was gonna bring up on your last control pods of the Kia Springfield. I played both those games, so if
Oh,
you
really?
need
Very
someone
nice.
to have first-hand experience,
Did you find them as dull to play as we found them dull to watch?
yeah. I mean, I remember Bart's Nightmare being pretty good, but I also remember being 8. So,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, they've listened to everything except the Love the Beast episode.
Yeah.
Actually,
Which, by the way, listeners, if you haven't listened to that Love the Beast episode, I think it's pretty good. I listen to it sometimes. So Disenchantment.
Yes.
so the demon, Eric Andre's demon, I actually think I laughed more at the King's line about him being a cat. I'm not here to answer cat questions.
Yeah, I was going to ask, does anyone have any cat questions? Because I'd be happy to take them.
Are you feeling good?
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
That gives me pause for thought. We've had a lot of fun here today, but there is a serious side to this as well. If anyone would like to fund my lifestyle, you can reach us at podsofthekeofspringfield@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Do we have an email?
What are you looking at me for?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just here except when I'm not. You're the guy who runs it.
right.
I think your email is podsandthekeofspringfield@gmail.com.
Sure.
I mean, if they really wanted to, they could go through like pulpfury@gmail.com.
Yeah.
But,
I think it'd be
Pulp
more
Fury-
efficient if they write to these guys and then they forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
At one point in this first episode, when Elfo escaped, we haven't really talked about the plot, but I'm assuming people have just watched it if they're
Yeah, they're
listening to
coming
this.
fresh off us. And they want to know what our hot take is.
So Elfo, he escapes from the Elf Kingdom and he's wandering around and he sees a sign that says, "Your presence is requested.
Loved this.
Your presents are required," with a TS, which reminded me, of course, of the classic Kanye line, "I'm living in the future, so the present is my past. My presence is a present. Kiss my ass."
Of course he ended it with that. It was so clever. And then he's like, how do I finish it? Kiss my ass.
No, it's fucking great, Kanye. If you're out there, and look, if you figure out how to be a good guy again,
No, if you
because
figure out
I'm
how
not
to
on board with your current politics. You seem like a bit of a shitbag lately, but you know, if you ever get back to that,
If you figure out how to be a
2007 Kanye,
If you remember
love to
how
have
to
you on the
be
podcast.
better, taller, and faster and stronger, then
yeah. If you ever go back to those, late registration days, or even, Dark Twisted Fantasy, that's a fucking banger of an album. We'd love to have you on the podcast to talk about it. Wasn't so big on Ye, not big on anything you're doing right now. Take that fucking hat off, Kanye. But anyway.
Make America great again.
Oh
Yeah.
dear, fuck.
No, I was
Nick, is
I
that
was-
your...
I was clarifying if that was the hat that he was wearing.
Yeah, that's the hat.
Yeah, right.
So when Elfo is running through the kingdom, I like when he went up to that dude's kilt.
Oh, yeah.
Just speedballed his nuts.
Yeah.
Which we don't
Speed
actually
bag,
see.
my apologies.
But
He-
the sound effect is
He
so precise.
beanbagged his beanbag. It was very
Oh,
unpleasant.
That was very weird that he's just left this magical kingdom where everything is always perfect and happy, and yet he immediately understands the concept of looting
Yeah.
when he's in a war and just loots all the corpses, and also understands pummeling someone's nuts to make them stop doing what they're doing.
Pummeling.
Pummeling.
Just looking at my notes, and they get kind of frantic at a certain point in this episode. One of them just says that bird was going to fuck that fairy.
Bird up.
Oh yeah, that happens. That's not even exaggeration. That's
No.
a great part of it.
Takes off his hat, and that's the symbol for going to fuck.
I always thought I was always told you can leave your hat on.
That's why there's a song about it. Tell you this time is different. You can leave it on.
Oh, so it's the exception.
Customary to
It's
remove.
the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, that's why the modern man never wears a hat because he's constantly ready to fuck.
Yeah, modern man never wears a hat.
Yeah.
He's always ready to fuck.
It's like Frank Booth says, let's fuck. I'll fuck anything that moves. Has anyone here seen Blue Velvet?
Frank Booth.
Damn it!
I have a recording booth and I call it Frank. Frank Booth.
Okay, very good.
I've seen the sequel. The blue is the warmest color.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen Blue as the Woman's Color.
I feel like you didn't either. You're just saying it. Yes, called it.
What about Blue
It's
Ruin?
a
Have you seen Blue
3-hour
Ruin?
French film. Of course you didn't watch it.
I know. I finished masturbating in the first hour.
That took you an hour?
That was a nice film. I wanted to take my time.
Get invested in the characters. Then smack it.
So Bean and her buddies go
Yep.
looking for the Wishmaster, only to discover that it's actually the Washmaster, who washes everyone's clothes. And this is interesting to me because I don't know about you guys, but I've got like a machine in my house that washes my clothes for me. I put it in there,
Yep.
and
Oh,
I
the
turn it
wishing
on.
machine.
Yeah, I turn it on, and it washes my clothes for me. It's
Fun
like
fact, that's actually a wishing machine if you just wish for your clothes to be clean.
yeah, it's interesting
Fuck,
that
you're
way.
good.
So in a way, like, it feels like a real miracle, like machines can do what in ancient times people had to do. But what I'm wondering is, with all our modern conveniences, what have we lost, Nick?
How we lost mystic shamans on hilltops who can do things for us.
I'm not engaging in this train of thought. Modern life is great.
I like how easy it is to really piss you off. There are a handful of very specific things I can say.
Because I mean,
You're like a fucking Manchurian candidate. You just hear a handful of specific phrases and you start killing people.
I wish I understood what that meant.
Oh, I love how much what scattershot response to any kind of cultural reference is going to get from this room.
Nick, I haven't seen the
Venn
Manchurian
diagram.
candidate either.
The Venn diagram here is going to be so interesting of who gets what.
Yeah, because we do have crossovers and overlaps. Like, you two read books, so
Yeah.
that's going to be...
Fucking nerds.
We listen to punk music.
We do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
We're all hatless.
Men,
Repeat hatless.
hatless and ready to fuck.
Fucking hell. Speaking of wanting to fuck, the elf wants to fuck the lady in this.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
the
that
elf
kinda
just
came
had a
out-
girlfriend like yesterday.
That
and
kind of
now he
came
wants
out of
to-
nowhere
Yeah.
as well. He's like, "Oh, I'm totally in love with you." Like, why? At least have a moment.
That had absolutely no build up or payoff.
Yeah.
The first time they meet, he's like, "Oh fuck, oh yeah, let's
Yeah.
yeah."
But yeah, there's
Hair
not even,
smells like butterscotch and all that.
there's not even a
right.
moment where he kind of looks at her and they do like a slow motion shimmery shine kind of.
I don't know how I feel about Elf Bart wanting to fuck Princess Lisa. I mean, it's uncomfortable.
You're not a racist antelope, are you?
Well, I don't...
No.
Saying human with elf, that's not good.
I really hope people have watched Disenchantment before listening to this.
I just saw BT cross off a note for racist antelope.
Yeah.
Had to bring that up.
Without like context, this is the most interesting collection of notes I think I've ever written down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like my note, speed bagging.
Speed bag.
Yeah, we covered that.
Why did I write, what's fire hot turbish?
I don't know.
What's a turbish?
What is Turbish? Oh wait, was that two of the guards?
That's no, that's where.
Oh, yeah, turbish and Mertz.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
no, that's the bit where the mysterious overlords who sent the demon to are watching them through the fire, and he touches it. And he's like, "Fire's hot." Yeah, I know, I was there.
Yeah. Oh, and I like the callback to them, and they're asleep.
And it's
they're
got, like, static.
Yeah.
That was very good. Something I did really want to bring up was they have the line "Hors Rouge, Ladies Leech," which is a Simpsons
That's
did
good.
it
Yeah. Oh,
for
that-
Hors Rouge, Ladies Pinch.
Horse Rouge, ladies pinch. Yep. Yeah. And then episode 2 was also good, I guess. I don't
Same
know.
kind
I'm trying to rein it into some level of structure.
I liked it,
but I
but-
feel like I'm the person.
Nick, this is probably the most structure we have ever had.
I know, and it's funny because I'm the person most detrimental to structure. So,
you mean the episode that had the great sign gag Barnes for Nobles?
Oh, yeah.
that was very good.
That was good.
I believe that was a real estate agent at Barnes for Nobles. Very,
Sorry,
very good.
and that was titled "For Whom the Pig Oinks," which I think we all quietly died at a little bit.
It was very,
In this one, they drain the elf, and there's
So
some
to speak.
mermaids. Yeah.
yes.
I noticed early in this episode that the characters in this have 5 fingers.
Early in
Yeah.
the second episode.
Or should I say
Really?
4 fingers and then a thumb, which I consider in many ways to be the 5th finger. So, considering what we know about The Simpsons, does this mean that this is actually set in the future?
Ooh,
Because in the first episode of Futurama,
And hang
we
on.
see society is destroyed and rebuilt into
Multiple
a fantasy
times.
world at
Yes.
some
Right.
point.
So this is set in the
think you're onto
future.
something.
So this is set in the future, and how do we know that? The hands. Where are the hands? They're at the end of the arm. Future arm.
Look, it is like the fireman asks in Twin Peaks, is this future or is this past? Sneaky Peaks.
You're like the dreamer. Dreams, and then lives inside a dream.
Ding, 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 ding. Skip, snip, snip.
yes, yep.
I hope that is something when I play it backwards when I'm editing this.
If it is, I will be stunned and terrified.
Hail Satan.
Yeah. Say.
Spain, spake.
Our backwards Burns talk worked out what right.
Oh,
did,
it's
yeah.
beautiful.
It was I only just listened back to that.
We have a friend who's like disturbingly good at talking backwards as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Have you ever heard Danny do it? It's weird. He's
But-
Danny, if you'd like to come on the podcast,
talk
if you'd like
backwards
to
the
come on
entire
an episode of Sneaky Peaks,
Beach, would you like to tell them about your recent discovery of backwards speak?
Oh, fuck me. Yeah. So I was listening to a podcast, can't remember what it was called, something pods, and revealed that Mr. Snrub was actually Burns backwards, which I've gone this entire time without realizing.
No way.
wait a minute.
This mustache comes right off.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I felt both stupider and smarter all at the same time.
Now this
Wonderful feeling.
this
Welcome to my
episode
world.
starts.
For the record, on our podcast, Simpsons Index, like and subscribe, Beach is usually pointing out the smart references to me, so I felt good about myself for one moment.
Glad I could help, buddy.
You were pointing out, Jekyll, Matt Berry, I think he was one of the MVPs of this whole thing.
Matt Berry, best known as that guy who shouts a lot on the IT Crowd, which was a show made by a transphobe. So that's
Really?
mine. Yeah.
Graham Linehan.
Yeah, Graham Linham, if you're out there, fuck you, you piece of shit, you massive arsehole. But great show.
I know.
We hate you though, Graham.
Yeah, that episode of the IT Crowd about the internet, when they give Jen the internet, that's also the one with the horrible B story about Matt Berry, realizing that...
What a bad fucking episode.
No, but it's like a cubic and a failure in one,
Well,
because...
it feels like it's been recontextualized now, because I always
Yeah.
took that as the character being, a
No,
little
those are his
transphobic.
actual views
Yeah,
as well.
well, I know that now.
A failure zirconia.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we've had that before.
But yeah,
Cubic failure. It only happened once, I think.
Oh, what was it?
Fucking, what was it? The special with Katy Perry?
oh, fuck.
And
Oh,
it's
that's
like
a bad
It's
episode.
so awful,
is
you
that
have to see it.
is that the Lady Gaga one you mean? Or
No,
No. That's just
Okay.
pure
So
failure.
there's one where all
Mo
the
goes-
Simpsons are
Mo goes
puppets.
down on Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and,
I
Katy-
remember
Katy Perry
that.
is there live action in this skin-tight latex red thing with the Simpsons faces on it.
Yeah, I've
It's like,
seen that. Mo goes to town on her.
yeah.
and-
Oh, yeah, he does.
Which
It's
is
fucking
didn't
weird.
realize I was into that.
And Katy Perry as well. She was like, no, don't stop. It was completely consensual, at
It was
least.
just
Mamma
fucking
mia.
weird. Yeah.
Now this episode
As Luigi
of
would
Disenchantment.
Disenchantment.
Oh, Matt Berry's quote. Yeah, sorry. Did you have a thing you were
Did
going
you
to?
say Matt Perry? Could I be any more disenchanted?
Could I be any less enchanted?
No, Matt Berry's character, he goes and fucks a bunch of walruses,
He does, yeah.
which isn't a horrible moment in this episode. I thought it was quite
I
funny.
mean,
I want to
haven't-
get into
haven't
that
we
a bit
all?
later because I have a lot to say about a surprising amount to say about the walrus fucking in this one.
But could I say his line? When he comes back, he's worried he won't be able to do his wedding duties.
Yes.
He goes, "Oh, my poor tuckered dong."
Yeah, I've got that written down as well, and I wrote next to it, big mood.
Yeah. Perhaps this will perk up my poor tuckered dong.
Now, this episode opens with Bean and crew falling off a cliff.
Yep.
And,
Bean
typical...
or B? I still don't know a name. B-E-A-N?
It's Bean.
B-E-A.
Yeah,
Bean.
Bean is one.
Oh,
Bean.
B! But, yeah, it opens with Bean falling.
Yeah.
Bean.
It's a real cliffhanger, you might
Oh.
say.
fuck.
But anyway, she's falling,
Get out.
and she ends up falling onto the prince guy, and this breaks her fall. I've always been bothered by the cartoon logic that if something breaks your fall, you're automatically fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it first bothering me in the anime series Cowboy Bebop. Has anyone seen Cowboy
I have
Bebop?
indeed.
I have heard the theme song.
Dun, 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 dun.
3, 2,
Dun.
1, let's jam. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Anyway,
Fucking
in the second episode of that one, a dog is falling out of a spaceship, and
Felt
another
like I was in a
ship
barbershop
catches
quartet.
the dog by just flying under it, and the dog is fine, and that always bothered me. So this
Well,
made me think of Cowboy Bebop.
It's like a corgi. They're very durable.
Also, the voice actor who played Jet in the Japanese version died yesterday, so R.I.P.
really?
that guy.
Shit.
Props to Jet.
Yeah, don't remember the name of the actor, but he was pretty
I think
good.
it was,
He
"Are
played
You Gonna
Mr.
Be My
Satan
Girl?"
in Dragon Ball. Anyway, Disenchantment.
Nick Chester. That's the singer from Jet.
Oh, good.
Oh, look what you've done.
Did you ever see? Yeah, you've made
made
a
a
fool
fool
of
of
it.
it.
Yeah. Did you ever see the Pitchfork review of that Jet album?
The Pitchfork review.
That was just instead of writing a review, they just posted a video of a monkey drinking its own urine.
So did they like it or not?
Ah, they loved it. Like a monkey loves his own piss. That's what I took away from it. I bought 3 copies,
Seems excessive, but sure.
and I
You know
played
that
them
old
all on
phrase.
separate stereos,
yeah.
like that Flaming Lips album.
You know that old phrase, I love you like a monkey loves piss.
Yeah, that's what you say to me every birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we share a birthday, so...
Yeah, and I'll say to you, "Thanks, Nick," and won't return it. And you always look a little perturbed.
Yeah. You're always like, I sent it to you on your birthday.
Very good.
Excuse me, I was looking in my eye.
They end up back at the kingdom, and the king declares himself a patron of the arts, looking up the elf. Once again, I'd like to say that I'm currently seeking a patron if anyone would like to fund my lifestyle. There are sentient carrots in this episode. We see that the wizard
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
has a bunch of carrots and they have eyes. Is this the origin point of Donald Trump?
Ooh.
Ah, bit of political humor there.
I was gonna say-
you didn't think I was going to roast Trump, did you? But here I am, risking it all.
I was going to say sentient carrots clearly as the result of an experiment. I just want to go to the wizard that did that and say, yeah, what's up, Doc?
Oh,
It's a carrot thing.
Yeah.
It's a carrot thing. Also, there were 3 carrots and they were in a bowl.
Yep.
Yep.
Elliot, you're someone that occasionally indulges. Have you got a 3-carrot bowl?
What? Oh, okay.
It's a smoking paraphernalia device.
Uh,
Joke.
Yep.
Is it?
Kind of.
Yep.
Just sound like a series of words.
It's a bling bong.
I have 420 of them. That's the sex number.
If you do it right. Without a hat.
Unfortunately, I'm usually the 0.
Oh. Settling into a menage a un.
Menage a non.
Menage a non. Isn't that guy that wrote all those cool poems and quotes? Menage a non.
That's his full name, yes.
Your brother to Q. Yeah.
QAnon. I've listened to Reply.
Dad of Nikki.
Nicki Minaj.
Yes.
Right, cool.
Nicki
Oh, yeah.
Minaj and on.
Yeah,
That's how
Nicki
she
Minaj.
was born, actually. It's
Yeah.
In a
a
menage
very
a non.
unusual situation.
So when in the second episode, when they're draining the elf blood and he doesn't have very much, I quite liked when they're looking down at the little, what do you call it, beaker?
Yep.
That's a conical flask.
Oh.
I used
Yeah,
to
big
sell
as a
this.
Muppet.
I used to
Always
sell
get
this
confused.
stuff. That's a conical flask.
When they're looking at the
Also
conical...
known as an Erlenmeyer
As opposed
flask.
to a comical flask, which is just when it like has googly eyes on
They're
it.
the really funny one. Sometimes you can get a scientific flask that's got like Hagar the Horrible printed on it. Oh, it's great.
I love that fucking guy.
Right?
Is he one of your guys?
He's up there.
Hagar.
So, yeah, when they're
Sammy
looking at...
Hagar the Horrible.
They're looking at the conical flask, and the king looks disapprovingly at the small amount of blood and goes, I'd have more blood in my chamber pot. I think that was another line that, we...
It's a
brought
good
up.
line about shitting blood.
Medieval
Or possibly
times.
pissing blood.
A lot of dysentery back in the days. So.
It's a good line about shitting blood. Pods of the Key of Springfield.
Yeah.
Yes, no. Good
Look
line.
what you've
Caught me off
done.
guard.
You've made a joke about shitting blood.
Hey,
That wasn't worth doing.
There's also a very weird visual references. The prince's crown resembles Jughead's crown from the Archie comics.
Oh.
Yes.
Jughead Jones, if you are
Stay
listening.
out of Riverdale.
And,
Nick, have you seen Riverdale? You would hate it so much. But it's good.
It's so awful that I want to watch all of it.
Oh, you want to hate watch it?
Yeah, I would hate watch the fuck out of it.
Yes.
Matt Groening and they seem to love sea captains because there's a sea captain in
Oh,
this
yeah.
episode.
And he's kind of great.
And he's a very Simpson-y Futurama sea captain. He's a classic.
Yeah, I found the comedy of
Groening
this
sea
overall
captain.
very Futurama.
Yeah.
I assumed that was a direct lineal descendant of Captain Kevin McAllister.
It's a possibility.
How was he with traps?
Right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think in the episode. Were there any clear, obvious references? He was very familiar with sirens, and walruses.
And the Sticky Bandits.
Yes.
People never usually come back. I avoid advertising that fact.
Also, hey, since you guys are here in Adelaide from Sydney for a bloody blokes weekend, do you want to get a bloody party barge? We'll get a party barge like the bloody Disenchantment.
Can we
Yeah,
have
that's
babies?
that's the Adelaide equivalent of like a cruise ship as a party barge. We all just get on like a trash barge.
No, see what we like to do in Adelaide with the bloody party barge is we get the party bus and we just drive it into the fucking ocean. My bus is drowning. It's a fucking barge.
Does it have karaoke?
Yes.
It can if you just start singing.
If you touch me like this, and if I need you like that.
Just before we move on from Celine Dion, I have to mention that song was originally written for Meatloaf.
Yep.
And he accepted it. He wanted to do it. And then Jim Steinman, the writer of that song, just gave it to Celine Dion. Meatloaf hears it on the radio one day and it's like, what the fuck?
Can I jump in with my fact about that song?
Oh my
Yes.
god.
There is a line that I have only recently learned what the line is, and it is fucking baffling. So at the end of the big build up to the pre-chorus, it is, there were nights of endless pleasure. It was more than all your laws allow.
Whoa.
Sorry, Celine. What the fuck are you doing? Slash Meatloaf. Meet Celine. What are you doing?
And
Anal.
would you like to come on the podcast and explain that line?
Loaf Dion. All right.
Loaf Dion.
Meet Celine Loaf Dion. It's the hybrid.
Wow, so they've like the flied together.
Yes, they've flied together. Hey, there was a bit of that in this episode of Disenchantment.
There
Where
was.
the prince turned into a pig
Oh,
and
yeah.
then the pig
pig
turned
turned
into a naked boy.
That was very good.
Yeah, kind of weird that Bean's plan was to have her like husband to be get fucked to death by mermaids.
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
And then Elfo's plan was to turn him into a pig. Or did he know that had happened?
You could. I don't think so.
I think he
Also,
sort
we
of
get
fucked
a
up.
very full-on, wonderful reference to the Odyssey in this sequence, which
here we
made me
go.
very happy because when you did your Simpsons Index and you brought little Nick along,
Hello.
and you all talked about
Captain.
none of you had read the Odyssey, and you seem to be under the impression that the Odyssey is like terrible. Like, oh, the Odyssey, who gives a shit about that? Who cares about Homer, the inventor of fucking storytelling? Well, not quite, but you know, one of the first authors, and the Odyssey is so fucking great. I am such a huge fan of it, so I listened to that episode like, oh, I'm enjoying this, but I'm angry.
That's episode 88 of the Simpsons Index.
And
Yeah,
it's,
Thank
the
Good episode.
The Epic of Gilgamesh is the beginning of storytelling. So.
Isn't that the bad guy in the Smurfs?
It's Gargamel.
Gargamel, right? Sorry.
Close.
But
Oh, I'm Gargamel.
there's
I'm
a
the very
sequence.
bad man.
There's a sequence in the Odyssey, and this is going to be based just on the translation that I've read, I suppose. But there's a sequence
Have
where
you
they
not learned ancient Greek?
not yet. I'm working on it, but there's a part where they go past
Calls
the
himself a scholar.
yeah. Well, they go past the sirens, and they're like perched on their rocks, and they're going to be singing their songs to lure men to their dooms.
Yep.
And Odysseus is like, "Look, I got a bit of a sickness for the thickness. I can't deal with these sirens.
He's down with the thickness.
You're going to have to tie me to the mast." Because the moment I hear those sirens, I'm going to steer this ship into the fucking rocks.
He was not wearing a hat, is what you're saying.
So they tie him and they like gag his mouth so he can't speak because he's going to be begging them to just steer into those sirens. I think the rest of his men are a little stronger. They're not going to do it. So
Yeah.
See, I always misunderstood that. I always thought that he was like, man, it's going to be hot when we go past the Siren Island. You know what'll be even better? A little bit of bondage. Boys, tie me up and
I
gag
want to
me.
get prepped here.
yeah, I mean in some translations he comes like a motherfucker in that scene. Anyway, he's in the translation I've read. He's tied to the mast and he starts hearing the sirens. And he's like driven so wild that in the text it says that he indicates with his eyebrows he would like to be untied. And I don't know how you do that exactly.
I think that's the old Millhouse double pump.
But I've been thinking
those
about
eyebrows.
that for 14 years now.
He indicates with his eyebrow.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
There was
That
a new
is-
translation of the Odyssey by Emily Wilson, I think her name is this
Sure.
year. The first woman to ever translate the Odyssey and have it published. So I'm very excited about that.
Excellent.
When it comes out in paperback and I can afford it. So Emily Wilson, if you are out there, I'm going to buy your book. Don't worry.
And you know what she could do in return? Sponsor your Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And you
become
know
a
what
patron.
she has now become? She has now become a paperback writer off the album Revolver,
Ah.
released in 1966.
It wasn't on
Ooh.
Revolver.
No, that's on Rubber Soul, but I thought I could get away with it.
Yeah.
It's not on
Rubber
Rubber Soul
Soul-
either. It was a single released independent of the
Oh,
album.
fuck, it's a B-side of Rain. You're right.
Yeah.
Rubber Soul came out in 65, did it? I think.
Yes.
Was it? Yeah, and then the White Album
Yeah.
69,
Oh,
which is the
The
dove
weed
number.
number.
it's the weird number, if you do it right.
There was a great line in that whole bit, though, where he's like, that song, so alluring, I must have sex with its origin.
Yes. Sex with its origin.
Yeah, and then he fucks like 30 walruses.
Hey, he stood by his word. He was like, that's the origin, I'm fucking it.
Yeah.
Still a better love story than Tusk.
Tell you that, Kevin Smith.
Anything is a better story than Tusk.
And if you could take some time away from doing your own podcast, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah.
I don't know what Tusk
Really, you seem to be doing very well
So-
these days, Kevin.
Yeah.
We're very happy for you.
Yeah. Way to pull it together after your heart attack, mate.
Yep.
Yeah. The other reference to a previous text that I liked was the reference to Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
when
so
the
just
pigs
when you-
are devouring a corpse.
Just when you thought the whole spaghetti kissing bit had reached its
It
limit.
had been done every way except they found a way. I'm impressed.
Yep.
Wasn't Spaghetti Kissing a country and western song from the 50s?
No,
I've been missing your spaghetti kisses.
Somebody touch my spaghetti.
I'm pretty sure it's a Clint Eastwood movie. Spaghetti Kissing.
very good.
Yeah.
And for a few pastas more.
Who've been touching my spaghetti?
Have you got anything more to say about Disenchantment?
Where was Norman? I was looking all over trying to figure out if Norman is in here. I couldn't spot Norman. There's still 8 episodes left. Maybe we'll see Norman.
Maybe we'll see him
Yeah.
in the other. I don't think we're going to cover it in the other ones on the podcast, but
No,
maybe,
probably not. Unless I watch them all and just do a little thing. But maybe I won't. Who knows? You're not going to watch them. It's content.
In Elfland, they all had names like
Yeah,
You know.
O's. So
Kisso and
Choco.
Kisso and Choco and Pervo.
So
and
maybe
like-
it's just Australia.
And so I couldn't say, that's a good point.
Yeah.
This is
I-
Australia.
There's one called Arvo. He's only
Yeah.
awake
Yeah.
for a couple of hours
Sicko.
after midday.
Smoko, constantly taking a smoke break, yeah.
They the other note I had here is they accidentally kill all their allies who are going to this wedding.
Yep.
This whole thing seems very serialized. I feel like that's going to come back. This is some real Game of Thrones shit.
Yeah. And I know, it's like, yeah, in the first episode, like, the way they were structuring it was, like, making you tantalized to keep binge watching.
Tantalized.
Yeah.
Very cliffhanger.
Feeling mighty tantalized right now.
Tantalized.
Too bad we have to go watch some shitty episodes of The Simpsons for my podcast.
Yeah, we're going to go
yeah.
record an episode of the Simpsons Index.
The online spreadsheet that is also a podcast.
So you can go and listen to that. Which episodes are going to be?
Can I guess? Wait, is it going up in sequence, or are you holding this one?
Oh, no. Yeah, I've already told you. Yeah, we're doing the sequel to Camp Krusty.
Yeah,
Camp
but I mean,
Krusty
like,
Up.
what number is it?
'Cause it'll be 99, right?
Oh, 98.
98, okay.
98. One of the years that came well after when I was born.
Yep.
Yeah.
98, 32 years after Revolver was released.
Goes great after 97.
my graduating year of primary school.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. Okay. Any more facts about 1998? It was probably when Three Car Garage, the B-side Hanson album, was released. Actually.
It comes full circle.
Yep.
Yeah.
98 was kind of a quiet year. I think maybe Pokemon Red came out.
Pokemon
Or
Red.
maybe that was 97.
97.
Maybe it was, I don't know.
In spring. All right. Thanks everyone.
Yeah.
I think this is done.
Go and watch Disenchantment on Netflix. It seems
it was pretty
good. And if you have, I guess you probably have. Otherwise, this episode would have been even more nonsense
Just
than usual.
Yeah. No, but I think, we were not all expecting it to be as good as it was. Like, I think there was a lot of lulls in it, especially in the pilot.
Yeah, I think, they just kind of put in whatever they wanted. They could have tightened the whole thing up to make a more streamlined episode. But what was good is still
But pilots are difficult, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
regardless. Like, the fact that it wasn't complete shit is a miracle by itself. It was quite good. It was better than, like, any episode of The Simpsons in the last, I don't know, 45 years.
I don't know. I think there have been 2 gold in the HD. If I've been listening to the Simpsons Index correctly.
One episode got 2 gold rankings, yeah, but
Sure.
yeah, that's one that I've since gone back and been like, oh shit, it's actually got kind of a fucked up moral. And
Which episode is that?
it's the good and the sad and the drugly from season 20.
Oh, season 20.
Like, it's a good episode, but unfortunately, the Lisa storyline ends with like her being against antidepressants because they fuck you up and change you fundamentally as a
The
person.
good,
which is
the
not
sad, and the drugly. That doesn't sound like a good thing.
No, it's an otherwise good episode with a shitty moral at the end, which, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Well, Disenchantment, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pause in the Key Springfield,
Find
pretty
it on
good.
Netflix. And
Simpsons
Netflix,
Index,
if you would
pretty
like
good.
to throw some money our way.
I think they would love to, actually.
Does Netflix need to advertise anymore?
I don't think they do.
They're so ubiquitous. Like, I'm
Yeah.
teaching a television studies topic at university at the moment, and like,
Yeah.
Netflix is the entire conception a lot of these students have of what television is,
Yeah.
and it kind of is for me these days as well. It's like that and SBS On Demand, Stan, but Netflix is like the thing.
It's kind of funny how, like, I've always wondered, why do Coke still advertise? Like, no one does not know about the existence of Coke, and no one's ever watched an ad and gone, fuck, I might go get a Coke. Why do they advertise? And it's getting similar for Netflix. Why do they bother advertising?
I really want to know why Head and Shoulders advertise. If you think of dandruff, that's the only place you go.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even name another
Nope.
dandruff shampoo. I can name several shampoos that have caffeine in them, because apparently that's a new thing. Like Alpacine, the German-engineered caffeine shampoo.
I'm learning so much right now.
What?
They advertise a lot.
Why do you
during-
just have that in the back pocket ready to go?
They advertise a lot during Formula One races.
I just assumed you were leading into another Coca-Cola joke.
No.
Because that's how I typically shampoo. I just rub a bunch of Coke through.
But if people ask me if I want to use a German-engineered caffeinated shampoo, I say Alpacine. No. Hooah!
I feel like that's been chambered for a very long time.
It honestly hasn't, I have to say.
Well done.
Well, there's no point in going
No.
on any more after that. Bye, everyone.
Later.
In Springfield. Hooah! Hooah! That stands a bit saggy, and for that I apologize. But it does come with a beer holder.
Beer holder is also cursed.
Fuck, I had the exact same thought. It's weird.
We're kind of in it now.
Has anyone else here seen The Simpsons? Anyone else a fan?
Oh, it's a popular animated sitcom, right?
Yeah.
Pretty underground though.
Popular
like-
90s animated American sitcom The Simpsons.
Bird up.